You really don't understand, do you? Hey, man, don't you realize in order for us to make this thing work, man, we've got to get rid of the pimps and the pushers and the prostitutes and then start all over again clean.
Hey, look, nobody's pushing me anyway, okay? I mean, not you, not the cops, nobody, man. I mean, you want to get rid of the pushers, I'll help you. But don't send your people after me.
Oh, come on, John. Can't you see that we can't get rid of one without getting rid of the other? We got to come down on both of them at the same time in order for this whole thing to work for the people.
Hey, look, nobody's closing me out of my business.
With God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, I want to thank you all for joining me for another episode of Blac-Vocracy, where we try to provide some insightful information of use that you can benefit from, and hopefully to raise your consciousness, your horizon, and bring you from behind the veil. As we say today, I want to speak about a particular topic that I've titled Sons of the Soil. But before I do that, I want to preface this by making a statement regarding the recent comment of Kyrie Irving, who came out and did an open apology. I didn't see it as being buck breaking. I thought he was intelligent and he was articulating what he was saying as it related to those individuals whom he may have offended or hurt. I don't think for a second that he was reneging on his outlook concerning his ancestral heritage and learning that spiritual journey. I, for one, can relate and understand the journey that he's on, having started my process nearly 32 years ago. So I don't see that at all as him buck breaking or him bending over and them relegating him into some inferior position. I still think that he still, as he acknowledged in the speech, that journey is a continuation, and he welcome and look forward to having a particular platform, but not during basketball season, because that's his livelihood. Okay, that's how he earned his honest living. But I did want to make a comment regarding that, as well as the brothers whom I saw from the Hebrew Israelite organization standing outside of the Barclay Center in support of Kyrie Irving, which led me to think about the Sons of the Soil and why I decided to go ahead and do this particular episode on Blac-Vocracy. I'm reminded of a statement by a gentleman by the name of David Walker, who wrote the Walker Appeal during the mid to late 1800s, who said, unless you are united, you would be afraid to trust secrets to one another. Unless you are united, you would be afraid to trust secrets to one another. Again, this was by Brother David Walker of the Walker Appeal. And basically, we know that it is a known fact. It is a known fact that African Americans have fought in just about every war of the United States, including dating all the way back to the American Revolution, the War of 1812, Desert Storm, you name it, we've been there. Even the Green Mountain Boys. And we did this to protect their economic dominance. If we had any, slavery, I always say slavery, just as it was during the Civil War, was nothing but window dressing. This whole thing has always been about commerce, has always been about the commercial dominance of a certain selected group of people who want to dominate the economic world dominance, okay? But if you name it, we've been there. We even used a African-American woman by the name of Miss Harriet Tubman as a scout. She worked as a scout for the army, fighting for the North, Miss Harriet Tubman. So we've been there. But it was, as it relates to the Sons of the Sword, this term was actually given or coined by President Andrew Jackson in the Battle of Calumet. He made a comment about summoning the sons of the soil, the children of Ham, as he put it. This is interesting because I think it was President Martin Van Buren. He actually, I think it was in 1831, he was questioning the British ministers regarding establishing a treaty that would allow slave owners to reclaim slaves who had migrated to Canada. Okay, but he didn't actually believe in the Sons of the Sword, but Andrew Jackson did, because they was losing the war. And as I always like to say, America have not actually or defeated their opponents without the help and the aid of the Sons of the Soil. So we need to understand this unification, that we need to support one another the way we saw those brothers supporting Kyrie Irving during his return to the Brooklyn Nets. Okay. Now I can go further to substantiate my position. However, it's not needed. There's more than information available that would align black people up with what I'm talking about. But I will address this nomenclature, Sons of the Soil. That's what I want to do. It's a nomenclature that I want to address because for centuries now, black people have been tillers of the ground. Some would even argue that this dates back to our father Adam being the first man created, being the tiller of the ground. And it also continued with the enslavement of the Hebrews under the tyranny of Pharaoh and his army. Okay, but I want to look much deeper into the metaphysics. I want to look much deeper into the metaphysics of this phrase that we call Sons of the Soil. Okay, so just stay with me for a second because I want to look a little bit deep, and I'm going to read something here in just a second to bring us up to date regarding the Sons of the Soil and how we should look at the Sons of the Soil today in 2022 as we ease our way into the year 2023. But first and foremost, when we look at the word son, S-O-N, son, the first thing that comes to mind, often comes to mind anyway, that we think about a male offspring, our son, right? An offspring. I get it. Okay. But did you know that there are several other definitions to this word son? Okay. It can also mean a person deriving from a particular source, like a country, a race, or even a school. Okay. So there are 3 other definitions or terms or words that are used for this word son. It can derive, again, as a person deriving from a particular source, which is a country, a race, or a school. Okay. So you got education. When you think of school, you think of education. So I just gave you 3 other definitions for this word son. Now, when you think about soil, what comes to mind? S-O-I-L, soil. Soil, on the other hand, is contributed to something that is stained or dirty. You know, my britches, I soiled my britches, right? Or I soiled my clothing. So therefore, on a higher level of knowledge and understanding, sons of soil can imply or does implies Africa, which is a country. Remember the other definition I gave, country, Africa, country. I gave the second definition to that was race, right? So when you think about race, you think about African-American people or black people. Okay, and then I said school. So school represents knowledge or education, okay? And that which has been stained, right? That's the second word to sons of soil. So that which has been stained, defiled, or made dirty. So if you put it all together, you can say Africa, which has been made dirty. Africa, which has been stained. Race, black people, which have been made dirty. This, even when you think about the color black, they always say it represents dirty, something that's in obscurity, right? Because white always was supposed to have meant cleanliness. You think about heavenly angels, but dirty was just the opposite. Okay, so race, they associated the word black to our race, black, right? Okay, hope you get that. And then education. Our education was made dirty. All this comes together. I don't know if you're getting this or not, but all of this means something, has a higher meaning. They stained and defiled the education, or the true education that we had. I'm not going to say when we came over here through the Atlantic slave trade and all of the other atrocities that was bestowed upon our ancestors when we started to assimilate in this society. Okay, but yes, all those things happened. They made black ugly, dirty, stainful. They defiled our education. And you look at Africa now, they say, well, it's just nothing but people who are animals or who act like monkeys or whatever, as if there's no modern civilization going on in Africa. But we don't believe that anymore, right? That's child's play. But I wanted to make these points because I'm bringing up this topic about sons of the soil. So when these words are spoken around 1831, as again by President Andrew Jackson, in the eyes of many whites, it was confirming that perpetual servitude against black people and their posterity was a given, that it should continue for a lifetime. However, for black people, it represented something different. This sons of the soil I'm speaking about, this sons of the soil, it represented something different. It actually symbolized a sense of place, a sense of awareness. And it also symbolized an identity. And I would even go as far as to say it symbolized mental liberation. Mental liberation. This is what it symbolized, the sons of soil. I'm speaking about the sons of soil. You know, I think we looked at it differently as opposed to those individuals or other ethnic groups, how they deemed this word sons of soil to be dirty, something soil, dirty education, dirty race, dirty country. No, we looked at it as something that was a mental liberation. That's why we say we take what they mean for evil, we make for good. We make it for good, right? So that's how we saw the word sons of soil. Now, although many blacks are doing, early slavery, they was dreaming of this place called Africa, right? Because I think when the slaves had stopped being imported in 1808, the generation that came later on, they started to move further and further away from Africa. So they started to having this nostalgia or this dream of Africa. Like many of us today, a lot of us dream of going back to Africa, if nothing else, just to have a return of reality, this nostalgia of returning home, just to get that feel of what Africa is like, because it still resonates in our DNA, resonates in our soul. And so again, as they began to bring those slaves in after 1808, that was being born in this country, the more and more people was having children, offsprings, and our posterity began to develop, the further we got away from Africa. Okay, so those who understood this began to look deep within themselves so that they can resolve these issues. Okay, and that's why you see a lot of brothers and sisters today, they wear the kente cloth, or they wearing the jalabib or the throbe or what have you, with the different colorings and so forth. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But the very idea of most white people identifying sons of soil to be subhuman people, I believe spoke directly to the spirit of those slaves. I believe that. I also believe that the commercial holders and their diabolical scheme of labeling the colorization of brown and dark-skinned people as being cursed and stained was in direct opposition of sound religious doctrine. I also believe that. After all, I do believe that God Most High did create human life in the most excellent mode. So to have them to come out with such untruths, I truly believe something resonated in our ancestors' soul to say we have to debunk or rebuttal this indoctrination that they're trying to align us with. And so the sons of the soil amongst blacks was used as a passing of the torch, if you will, that would allow future generations to achieve greater heights. At least that was the hope, that we could achieve greater heights within the African-American community. And I believe that we've done that. We may not be where we truly want to be, but I truly believe that we have accomplished more than our ancestors had. And I think we have to continue to build upon that. But again, the sons of the soil amongst blacks was used as a passing of the torch, so that we will be able to learn from our ancestors to achieve greater accomplishments in this society. And I also believe that if slave was to, if they was able to take something that was meant to demoralize and subjugate another human being, then it goes without saying that the obstacles that we face today in 2022, as we move into 2023, that we face today can be and should be easily hurdled. Yeah, if they took something back then that was supposed to be demoralizing, that was supposed to have subjugated our ancestors into a subhuman way of thinking, if they was able to overcome that and come through that, then I think we should be able to do what we got to do today and just jump over those hurdles. It shouldn't be that difficult. We have enough information out there. We have enough conversation that's going, enough dialogue. I mean, there's no excuse. There's no reason. So, but I want to be very clear. This is not to say that there will not be any new challenges, because racism is much more sophisticated now. It's much more sophisticated. It's not as open and direct as it was back then. Today, it's very, very subtle, if you will, very deceptive. You know, the same way the avowed enemy to us all, Satan, is, right? Or we say Shaitan, is very hidden in a lot of ways, especially when you start talking about this particular system and how it operates. I think in principle, this system, the intentions was good. However, it was only good for one group of people. But if you only just look at the principles, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. That's true. All man is created equal. However, if one deems to take it and slant it, and you try to detach that and make it about one particular group, then you're using it for harm and not for good. It's no longer universal, or it cannot be universally applied. So this is what makes it ugly. This is what makes it evil. But again, it's not to say we won't have our own challenges, because we will. I think the sons of the soil may be very well can be called the sons of the oil, you know, and if we're not careful, it can be called the sons of the oil, and that's really due to the power structure and the slick commercial schemes that are in play. So let's be careful about the commercial schemes that are in play, because everything dealing with Kyrie Irving, it was exactly about money. Nothing more, nothing less. It was exactly about money and commerce and the powers that be who controls the economic system, getting individuals to go along with their program. And we have to debunk these things, okay? But nevertheless, we must continue being the sand. Okay, we must continue to be the sand that neutralizes